It's Ms. Blaha again, and now I'd like to talk about some ways that I cope with ADHD in my daily life. First thing I had to do when I realized I had this disorder was figure out how my brain worked and then think of ways that I could make it work better in the world around me. One of the first things I had issues with ADHD was keeping track of things. If you're a teacher, you have to keep track of all kinds of things. You've got your ID and your keys and pens and remotes. I have other pens, just all kinds of little things. When I don't keep track of them well, I lose a lot of teaching time running around trying to find things. In addition, I don't look very organized. So I decided to do what little kids do to keep from losing their mittens. I decided to attach things to my body. I made sure that my ID badge has a good clip. I put my keys on myself, and they have a little string attached. So when I use them to open a door, I don't even have to take them off of my belt loops. To make sure I could keep track of these kind of things, a student suggested that I should wear a tool belt. Well, that didn't sound so fashionable. So I decided instead to make something out of duct tape, which I love working with, that attaches to my clothes as well. If you see me in the hallway, you'll notice that all of my little items are kept safely inside my hip belt and are attached. Sticking things on your body are a great way to keep things. I also had to work with the idea of keeping track of homework. Now, a lot of teachers can have students hand things in and have no problem with that. That takes me a lot of time. So what I do instead is I have students keep their homework and I simply punch them, the homework that is, to make sure that they get credit for the assignment. So when a student does assignment in my class, instead of me having to take the homework and then worry about losing it, I simply put a punch in it and the student can keep track of it on their own. Then if there's any problems with how I put that in the grade book, you always have this to prove that you did it. Another issue I've solved with exercise. Many people with ADHD at some point in their life have problems with weight or with maybe mental health issues other than ADHD, like say depression. I've had problems with both of those things. So when my depression was at its worst, someone suggested I should just go for a run. Now, I did not like running, so I was hesitant, but I thought, well, I got to try something. So got myself a pair of shoes and I started running. It was the probably best thing I ever did for my mental health and my physical health. First I could just run maybe a mile really slow, and then I could walk a couple of miles. And now I'm up to running 5Ks, which is fun. It again helps me with my depression. It helps me with my weight. I think it helps me focus. I feel a lot better. And I get some swag, like medals, and even from time to time, really cute hats. Another thing I've learned is that my biggest issue is trying to avoid stuff like this. Piles of paper. The worst thing for ADHD is to let things pile up. Now, you might see piles of papers on teachers' desks, and they can handle it okay. If you see piles of paper on my desk, things have gone wrong. So instead of piling up papers, I have learned to get good at technology. If I use a phone or if I use my computer, instead of having piles of paper, I have everything in one small place that's searchable and something I just can't lose. This has been easily the most important part of me being successful at work, is learning how to get very, very, very good at computers, at spreadsheets, at word processing documents, at searching the internet, and using my phone to keep track of my life. Now, I was thinking early on that I was hoping that I would be able to use medication to cope well with ADHD. I know a lot of people this can help. ADHD brains can sometimes respond to a little bit of stimulation to help us kick our braking system in, hold back, and focus better. So I tried. First I tried Adderall. I thought, oh, that'll be good. It didn't work. It made me feel kind of fuzzy. So we said, well, maybe try it with Zoloft. Since I had some depression anyway and some anxiety issues, we thought that might work. Well, that didn't. So I threw in Wellbutrin, and pretty soon I was no less jumpy. I was no more focused. only I was also had racing heart, and then I had some nausea. So really, I wish medication would work for me. It doesn't now. I haven't totally given up on it yet. I might try it again soon if something new comes out. But for many people, medication works. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work for me. A big issue in ADHD for coping is picking the right career. When I was in my last job, I had tons of filing to do and lots of little details to take care of. I didn't enjoy it and I wasn't successful. So I switched back to teaching. Teaching was great because it keeps you organized. I mean, there are bells all day long. They're there to keep students organized. They keep me organized well, too. I'm surrounded by teachers and other educators who understand what ADHD is. For the first time at work, I didn't have to explain how my brain works to every other person I met. It's been wonderful. And probably best of all, of course, are the students. Students keep me focused. They keep my attention. They make me excited to be there. Picking the right career is really, really important for somebody with ADHD. It can mean the difference of 8 hours a day of misery or 8 hours a day of success. Finally, probably the most important thing any of us can do for anything is pick good friends. I'm lucky again that I work at a school where I have all kinds of people I enjoy working with. They're fun and they're professional. I have great friends outside of school too that I can call up when I'm having a bad day, and I can talk about how squirrely I feel and bounce ideas off of them. I married the right guy and got great kids out of the deal. It's nice to be able to come home to somebody who can understand me and also be able to put up with some of my different behaviors. And when things are getting really tough, I can play with my grandson, and he tells me, of course, that Grandma is brilliant and wonderful, and I always feel good. Now, I also sometimes will engage a therapist if I'm tiring out my friends, but the people you surround yourself with will make things much, much better. Now, those are just some of the ideas I have for coping with ADHD. There are many, many more. And if any of you who are watching have some that you use, find me in the hallway. I would love to hear how you cope with your ADHD.